Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Game Informer Show. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Callie Hilliard.
Hello.
Leo Vader.
Thank you for having me.
And Andrew Reiner.
Why, hello, sir.
We're coming to you on a Saturday. Who could have guessed?
What? Yeah, weird. We're actually at E3 right now.
It's
Some
very
of us.
confusing, and we have a lot to say. But this kicks off a full 6 days straight of the Game Informer Show, which is wild. We're pre-recording this one, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be live streaming from LA with, hot impressions of gameplay and developer interviews. We're going to have developer roundtables, stuff like that. A lot of developers, which I'm very excited to talk to. Should be a great time. So you can subscribe to the audio feed if you want to stay tuned to that.
How much is that going to cost me?
Free!
Wow.
Just like this podcast right now.
Wow.
Just like the cover story.
Oh, Reiner.
Yeah.
Please explain. What is this?
It's an interesting lead, Kyle. So that's how we got here. Our July 2019 issue is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn and EA, and the three of us here went to Respawn Studio in late May and got our hands on the game, and we have all sorts of impressions and exclusive details, screenshots, you name it, in that story, which is live now. You can go read it for free live on GameInformer.com.
Which is pretty rare. We also did that last year for Anthem, I think, which is interesting. Both EA games during the E3 window, but E3 window is always a funky one. But this is cool that this is happening. You just go on our site and read the full cover story. Very rare.
And yeah, this is a cover story we wanted to do since we heard they were working on this game,
of
right?
course.
It's like, please, I want to learn about Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got a deep dive.
Director, Respawn,
Lots of people will be talking about Star Wars this week, but we'll have the most on it.
And let's get into it right now. Okay, so you visited the studio. 2 days at the studio overall?
Yeah, and it's very strange because this is the team that went for Spider-Man, went to visit Insomniac for Spider-Man, and we ended up going for another licensed game, which is Star Wars.
Right.
And I walked away with the same type of impressions of like, oh my God, this blew me away. It's my most anticipated game of the year now, just like Spider-Man. So...
Hang on. More or less hype than you were for Spider-Man?
Good question.
More for me, just because I'm more of a Star Wars fan than comic book.
All right.
But yeah, this is scratching that Star Wars itch in a way that we've had decades worth of Star Wars games, but none of them have like put it all together into one of that, what you get from the movies, whether it's story, action, the ensemble experience, the characters, the music cues, switching immediately from intense to playful if there's something that funny that happens with like a droid or something. Like it hits all those notes and they approach it in a different way than we've seen before. Like in your mind, you have like an idea of what Jedi action is. And a lot of that is combo based, right? Like just wildly swinging the saber, acrobatically. That's not this game. They took a different approach, and we'll get to it here in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, we spent 2 days in the studio talking to Stig Asmussen. He's the director of this game. He worked on God of War 3. He was the director of that.
Yeah.
A game I gave 10 out of 10 to. And Respawn, they recently just created one of the best, if not the best, first-person shooter campaign, single-player campaigns.
I think it's absolutely the best. Yeah, Titanfall 2,
they only make good games, as it turns out.
They just released Apex Legends, which is a really fun game as well. Like, this studio is doing something, like, lately, just, they're cooking, right? Like,
So what is it like to walk through the halls of a place that's cooking? They all just have their hands behind their back?
As you arrive, they have two buildings on the same lot. One is a giant Apex building. One is a giant Star Wars building.
Interesting.
And you walk around inside, there are all tons of Star Wars murals. There's a speeder bike in the front lobby.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. But they're
Leo
committed to Star
immediately
Wars.
jumped on it and found that it actually works. And
I
just
drove it through the window, plate glass,
Fantastic. I was wondering how you got back to Minnesota so fast after the visit. Okay, but overall, I mean, did you talk just about Star Wars, or was it a little bit like a little bit Apex, a little bit this, a little bit that?
Not much Apex, but we did ask about Titanfall, what's happening moving forward. So we'll have... Well, let's save that. We'll save that for our coverage.
Well, we can say what Vince told us, which was no comment for Titanfall. What's the future of Titanfall?
But they have a third team that's working on a VR game that's unannounced. That will be coming, I think, later this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
Jesus, they're busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you walk through the Apex building at all?
No.
Okay,
It's all Star Wars. We were there for Star Wars.
great. So you got in. First, I'd imagine you get the story pitch, right? So we already saw the cinematic trailer. I think a lot of people kind of understand the basics. Like Cal is the main character's name, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Padawan. Yeah, we could just kind of walk through that
Yeah,
very
please.
quickly. So it takes place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Right.
In that kind of what you call the dark times.
The Rebels period, we call it.
Yeah, after Chancellor Palpatine, who turns into Emperor Palpatine, issues Order 66, which is to basically eradicate all the Jedi in the galaxy because they're bad. All the clones turn on them, all that stuff. So either the Jedi die or they go into hiding. And Cal is one of those Jedi to be that went into hiding. He had a master previously. We know that. We don't know who it was. They won't reveal that yet. But they are
he's in theory
saying
dead, right?
he has his master saber, it seems like.
Yeah.
So that implies that his master is probably dead.
You'd think so.
We'll see. But they did say that unlike, like Rey from Force Awakens, there was so many questions about who she was and the credits rolled and you still didn't know who she was. For Cal, you're going to learn everything in this game. You will not have any lingering questions by the end of it. Like you will know who his master was. They said that they're going to revive like this fallen group of Jedi or something like that.
Fallen Order, some would say.
Yeah, so you're going to find out about all that, the saber, everything relating to his history. You're going to learn about in this game.
Does it give you pause at all, as a Star Wars fan, to add another story in this chapter of, the dark times weren't Jedi, but they were secretly effing everywhere. There's a secret order being built up. Everyone's having a great time.
Not really, because he had Obi-Wan doing that on Tatooine, right? Like, so
Yeah.
that's our first impression of Star Wars began with that. So it just seems like a natural extension of that. But at the same time, it is like, how many are hiding? Like thousands?
Exactly.
Like,
Do you expect like a big reveal for his master? Like, it's Kit Fisto, or like an established name? Or
yes.
Okay.
And I if I had to speculate, I want to say the Fallen Order might even connect to like Knights of the Old Republic or something like that.
What?
Like
Why?
going back, like a secret society of Jedi that have existed from that era, like in hiding in the different quadrants of space for who knows how long.
And that's pure speculation.
Pure speculation.
Why do you think that?
just because it's cool.
So he's not founding the order.
No, well, there's
No.
a woman that he meets named Seer who
Yep.
basically like recognizes that he's a Jedi, and though we don't know a lot about her, we do know that she's like, come with me, Cal, so that we can like bring the Jedi back. I need your help with this. Time out, Jedi time.
Well-
Time out on Order 66 real quick.
she finds out that, I guess the entire galaxy finds out because Cal outs himself as a Jedi. Or
Early
a
on.
Padawan early on, and
Did
then
they show
the
you
Empire.
that scene?
No,
But it has to be like from the trailer, right? When that guy falling
Yeah, I
off the
think
thing,
so.
he probably just like uses the force to save him. or
Yeah,
whatever,
so that's
You know.
what we're all thinking. But who knows? Maybe that guy just falls in and it's like, whoops.
That reminded me, I'm a Jedi.
Padawan.
And then he's brushing his teeth and he's using the force to do it. It's like, oh no. But so he's on the run from the Empire at that point, and they are sending in the Inquisitors, which are these, and they're Purge Troopers. So the Purge Troopers come in, they're highly trained, kind of Stormtrooper types that go in to soften up the Jedi, and then the Inquisitors come in. Or
Soften up.
yeah, but I mean, that's exactly what they do, and then they come in and finish the job.
And these are enemies with polearm weapons and melee stuff, so they're blocking your attacks, and they're much more difficult to deal with than just a stormtrooper
Right.
with a blaster.
Yeah, exactly. And your lightsaber can't just slice right through him.
No.
Right.
Ultimately,
So
gameplay-wise.
that's the setup. The gameplay we saw takes place a few hours into the game on a familiar location from Revenge of the Sith, Kashyyyk, which is the Wookiee homeworld. Mm-hmm. In Revenge of the Sith, there was a victory there for the Wookiees and Yoda and co. They defeated the Separatists, and then obviously Order 66 happened. What happened after that is the Empire went there and began reducing Kashyyyk to resources, basically taking the sap from the trees, all of its minerals and stuff like that, and also they enslaved the Wookiees then.
Really? Has this been established, or is this just
Yeah, this
Jedi
is
Fallen
this
Order
is
stuff?
known. Yeah, so
okay.
It's known, but they talked about how it hasn't been shown that much, and that was an interesting thing for them to get the responsibility of showing that actual process
Right.
and how horrible it really is.
Okay.
So yeah, you're going to see sides of Kashyyyk you've never seen before. It is a lush jungle and stuff like that, forests, but you're going to go into caves, into rivers and stuff like that. And that's where the demo picks up with, like I said, a few hours into the game with Cal and his ensemble, which is BD1, his droid, his buddy droid, who rides on his back like Daxter from Jak and Daxter.
Yeah.
Does he talk?
He burps. He burps.
He bleeps and
He
bloops.
beeps and bloops
And
and
Ben
burps.
Burt is providing those bleeps and bloops.
Is that true?
Ben
That's
Burp.
true.
Yeah.
Is it subtitled?
No.
No.
So it's just
They
a lot
talked
of Cal
about that.
being. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like
in fact,
debating whether
we
to do
asked
it.
if they wrote dialogue for him. They said they did initially, but later in the game, they kind of just made it more just emotional beats that they would give to Ben Burt to kind of record his take on,
Wow.
this is a happy reaction, this is a sad reaction.
So it's a lot of Cal being like, well, I'll tell you why we're going to go into this cave, BD1. A lot of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
He
it.
does a cool thing where BD1 will give you health, and he'll just like snap his fingers, and BD1 will toss health at you and stuff.
And
It's
he
cool.
jams in his neck or his arm.
He's cute. He's got two little legs that run around. He'll climb up you.
He looks a little like Wall-E.
They said they
okay.
modeled him after Woodstock from Peanuts in certain ways.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
That's what they gave as
Yeah.
inspiration.
We'll
yeah.
have a feature going deep on BD1
Yeah.
after E3.
Well, it's weird because like the episode 9 new droid also is a little bit bird-like, so it's weird.
Yep.
They also have
Yeah.
2 now here. Anyways, okay, so Kashyyyk. But thinking about, I know it's not canon, but Force Unleashed showed Kashyyyk in
Yeah.
that time frame.
showed
and
the-
it looked just like,
Wookiee village, basically.
yeah, it's just the standard place. But outside of that, it's where it's being mined. And
Yeah,
different.
and you really see how the Empire is coming in with their, their refineries and their vehicles and turning this green habitat into just industrial. So you have this contrast it's just kind of powerful in its own, just from a visual standpoint of like, oh God, this place is just getting torn apart.
Right.
And
right.
you see and experience the problems they're having doing that with the indigenous wildlife of the planet. You'll see stormtroopers fighting these giant monsters on Kashyyyk.
Ooh,
There's
not
all
just
sorts of
Wookiees.
factions like
Oh
that.
no, there's giant spiders, all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah, it's cool.
All of it's canonical, so this is a new story that is a part of Star Wars' canon. I guess you could say Battlefront 2's is as well.
Right.
But they are working very close with Lucasfilm, Respawn is, to make sure everything lines up, nothing's out of place. So if you see like a spider on Kashyyyk, you won't see that spider later in the game, just a different color, right?
Of course, yeah.
As an enemy type. So everything, all the planets you go to, which there are many, we don't know the exact number yet, but they said half are known and half are new.
That's cool.
You will see new enemies on those planets.
Is there any hint? I know this might not be important to anybody. Any hint of like the Wookiee village? Do you see like Chewie's family or anything like that? Do they tiptoe towards the holiday special?
That'd be amazing. No, we do know that Cal is looking for Tarful. He's the Wookiee chieftain, kind of the head of their, like a symbol for them, for the Wookiee people. He was a big player in Revenge of the Sith. So they find out something, Seer and Cal, that might be leading to this hidden Jedi society or whatever.
And the true meaning of Christmas.
Life Day, I think they call it.
Oh, yeah, right.
That links to Tarful. So
So
you're
is
going there.
Seer coming through an intercom or is she running around with you?
She's never, well, they
Both.
said most times she won't be running with you. She's at the ship doing reconnaissance with Grease, the pilot of the ship that you're on called the Stinger Mantis. You won't fly it. You're a passenger aboard it, but you do have that ensemble, right? You do have that core kind of like you had on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Of these people that are kind of brought together under strange circumstances, yet are all kind of unified in what they need to accomplish.
And you explore the ship and you can have optional conversations with them, but they talked
Ooh,
about how
okay, good.
they can, yeah, optional. They can communicate with you while you're out in the field, but they don't very much. What they're going for is that you versus the elements, a lone adventurer
And
kind of thing in those
interesting.
situations.
One of the coolest things about the design of this game, I'll let Kyle talk a little bit about the inspiration behind it, but there's never a waypoint on the screen. So the map or the HUD is very clean. There's just like your health, your force powers, stamina every once in a while when you're doing stuff. When you're getting experience and skill points, you'll start seeing stuff kind of appearing up top. And then there's just nothing in front of you. So they rely on a map system, and BD1 is your map. So he'll come down and shoot out your typical Star Wars hologram projection of the world, and it's
It doesn't
3D.
pause the game.
Wait, what's that? So
It doesn't pause the game. He just projects it into the world.
every time you hit the map button, he comes out in front of you and projects it.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
okay.
it's 3D modeled. It has fog of war where you haven't been. It'll show key points of interest in like yellow and different colors, but you got to figure out how to get there. So there isn't a box you're approaching with a number on it like, I'm 60 feet away from this. You just don't
Right.
know. You need to figure it out on your own. I love that.
Yeah.
That seems really cool. So they're emphasizing exploration in a
Yeah,
bigger way
kinda-
than expected.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
It will remind you a lot of Metroid Prime in the most positive way.
and that's the game of
That
note
is
here.
that is the thing that is most exciting to me is the structure of how you explore is totally inspired by Metroid and specifically Metroid Prime.
And they said Metroid Prime
Absolutely.
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, big time.
They like dissected Metroid Prime, the cadence of getting power-ups and upgrades and stuff like that, and just kind of used that as the groundwork for building their game. Their game's completely different in how it plays and like those Metroid elements.
Yeah.
But they liked what Metroid was doing there. So as you're exploring, you'll see things in the environment. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I can interact with that. You can't your first time through, but let's say you go to a different planet, you get a new power, and you're like, wait a minute. I remember seeing those things. I can go back and use this new power on that
Do you
to
have examples
reach a new
of
area.
what those powers are going to be like? Is
Yeah,
it all
there's-
Jedi stuff?
No, well,
No.
we have
Okay.
one that was like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like this big cog kind of that you couldn't get past, and it's even marked red on your map. But when you can upgrade BD1, and what he can do at that point is like hack into things.
Okay.
So
Well,
he
it's
was
an
able
overcharge.
Right.
Overcharge is what it was called. So he could like what you could do is once you had that ability, you could go back to those areas, and BD1 could turn them on. And it wasn't as simple as just like pressing a button and it's open, which was nice. Like you have active control over the cog that was moving in the example that we saw. So like maybe you move it halfway to make a jump, or you move it all the way to get something behind there. That kind of thing.
And once you have the power to get past those red doors on your map, they'll
Yeah.
turn green on your map. So you
Yeah.
know they're worth going back to, and you can get through them now.
Okay.
And so BD1, he gets this thing called overcharge. You climb up on this big device, you shimmy along it. BD jumps off your back on his own onto the spot that he can use overcharge on, but you as a player have to activate it. So I was like, oh, that's kind of silly. They just make you do that. But they're like, we use that later in the game for like puzzles and different challenges that are timing based.
Yeah, but there will also be like double jumps and more like things like that. Like
Standard
Wall
stuff.
running.
It's funny,
Yeah.
the joke that we made even while we're there is like for the first time ever, there's actual, maybe not ever, but there's actual context for why a character could double jump.
'Cause he's using the
'cause
Force?
He's using
Yeah.
the Force. It's like a Force flip, I think it's even called when you unlock it.
Yeah.
But there are going to be a lot of opportunities of like you'll see stuff that you can't get to yet. You'll go get upgrades. You'll come back to later, and you'll be able to.
Wall
progress.
running is one of those things too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you guys get to see it in
and
action?
shimmying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It seems cool.
It's exactly what you'd expect it to be from like a Respawn game.
Yeah,
Like,
and you
just
can-
immediately jump on the wall and there you go.
You
Yeah.
can attack while you're wall running. You can block blasts and stuff like that while you're
Okay.
wall running. And you can wall run between walls, so you can run and jump to another wall.
I will say it's specific walls. There are points
Yeah.
in the environment that are built to do that and attack out of and everything. You can't do it on any wall in the
Yeah,
game.
like Metroid, there will be a visual language for everything. The interactions
Right.
that you have, like the wall run.
Yeah. What else did you find while exploring? Is just going to be cool looking environments?
BD
big-
can scan things and add to your database. They said that they want to reward all types of exploration. They don't know how they're going to reward scanning, since it is just kind of a secondary thing of reading
Yeah.
a journal. But maybe you will get skill points from that when the game actually comes out. But it wasn't in there when we were playing it.
Okay. Sweet. And number one question: can you change your lightsaber color?
Yes.
Oh, really? I did not expect that to be a yes.
Yeah. So some of the while you're exploring, to go back to your earlier question, you will find chests that hold cosmetic stuff for the ship, the Stinger Mantis. You could give it different looks.
That's very
BD1, Cal's outfits, his ponchos he wears, and then all sorts of lightsaber stuff, both from the hilt, the kind of the makeup of it physically, and then the blade color.
Although Lucasfilm does have specific rules about who can have what color saber.
can-
I don't think you'll be able to have a red one, right? Did they say that?
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
so.
Don't expect a Jedi to have red, is what
They did.
told us.
Internally, they said they made a rainbow one, but they don't expect that to
It would
make
switch
it to the final.
colors every time you hit somebody.
Oh, that'd be so good.
I know, it sounds
so
great.
realistically, it's going to be blue, green, yellow, right?
Probably,
Because
yeah.
you can't touch purple because Mace Windu is a badass.
Yeah, maybe
dead.
pink. I guess there's
Grabs.
Sorry to break it to you this way.
there's
Leo.
white and black from Rebels that they could go into.
Oh, okay. I hear that stuff about all the stuff in the chest, and immediately I'm like, oh, microtransactions. That's where they're going to get it.
Nope.
But remember, they said
No microtransactions,
They
single player
promised.
only, no multiplayer modes. This is like an old school video game
Oh, it's a
through and
good
through.
game.
Yeah, it's a good game that we'll like and want to play.
Turns
That's
out
an
people
interesting
like playing
approach.
games like that. Yeah.
So bizarre. Okay, what about combat itself? Actually using that lightsaber.
This is where it's the most surprising. Like when we heard about Metroid, it's like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
I
combat,
love just dropping the one word. It's like, oh.
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, it
But I
was
hear
though.
ya,
The
yes.
second he was like, he specifically told us, he's like, yeah, I looked at Metroid Prime specifically, and then him pulling up the map and it's all 3D modeled.
Yeah,
I got
for sure.
goosebumps, man.
I mean, the way Stig put it was very much like Jedi aren't just freely hacking and slashing everything, right? They're very calculated in their movements and actions. It's all about precision and immediately taking a foe down. So that's the approach they went for, is exploiting enemy weaknesses and breaking their defenses to get in that 1 or 2 hit kill on them. And in that capacity, it draws inspiration from Dark Souls. So it is more of a circular dance against multiple foes at once, where you're looking for the windows and waiting for the enemy to engage you. So it has a high level of intensity of these purge troopers coming in with these electro blades swinging at you. You could tap dodge to just sidestep out of the way, double tap it to roll, just like Dark Souls. And then you are looking for windows to parry. The dodge roll might be enough where you can just stick your saber in the back, take them out. But most times you're going to, against the harder enemies, you're going to be trying to parry their attacks and find those windows where you can get in those quick kills. And that could be chaining in the force as well. And that's
Right.
where it really kind of becomes very exciting and different from Dark Souls, is that you have the ability to like force pull, force push, and then something that's unique to Cal is force slow. It's very similar in design to Kylo Ren's power in Force Awakens, where he freezes that bolt in the air.
Right.
Cal can do that, but it's still kind of inching forward a little. It's
He's
not
not that
completely
good,
frozen. But what you could do is force pull an enemy that just shot that laser blast into their own laser fire and kill them that way.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's got a little bit of a kind of Devil May Cry combo-ish
Right.
aspect to it.
There
in
will
that
be guys with
capacity.
missile launchers. You can force push the missiles back at them.
Okay, but I mean, you wouldn't call it anywhere near a stylish action game. I think
No.
from the
No.
pedigree, some people were kind of
It's
expecting
not about
more of that.
combos at all. Like you can hit X or square like 3 times in a row to do like 3 swings, but the odds of those landing are very slim.
Yeah.
So you're more looking for that one strike or that one way to exploit someone and then go in. Against a spider, you might have to hack at it for a bit.
Yeah.
But
to drop it.
You're not memorizing any button inputs. The combinations come from using the force abilities, pull, push, and slow, with like making yourself windows to get in, like slowing someone down, like sticking them in slow motion, rolling around behind them and hitting them in the back and stuff like
Gotcha.
that.
Upgrade trees, I take it.
Yep.
Okay, skill trees,
Skill
the whole
trees.
thing.
They didn't have the name of what the points are going to be yet. They briefly showed us. You kind of go into this.
Meditation.
He meditates and he goes into this kind of spiritual plane that's very reminiscent of the place that Ezra went in the final season of Rebels. I won't go any more on that, but black and white.
At save points is where you do that.
And
Like a video game.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
and then he kind of looked to the heavens or whatever, and he saw there's like a spider web of skills that you're unlocking.
Oh,
so
a
you
little
know, it's-
Skyrim. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
very much sphere grid from Final Fantasy X, or Final Fantasy X is what
Yeah.
it reminded me of.
And while we're talking about those save points where you're meditating, the other sort of Dark Souls line that you can draw there is when you meditate at those areas, it resets all the enemies in the world, and it also resets your health packs. Which, what are they called? Health
Estus flasks.
canisters?
Yeah.
And it is functionally similar to Estus flasks.
He'll be walking slowly as he's taking it.
Well,
Okay.
no, that's BD will give them to you. Like
Right.
he launches them and you inject them in yourself.
Yeah,
and
so
you-
he
and-
yells like, Beatty!
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then so if you have like, I think you start with 2,
Yep.
and you can get more, and then you can use them, and then when you go to the save points, it resets them for you.
Now, if you're freaking out like, oh no, it's another Dark Souls type of game, they don't want it to be punishing at all. They want it to be challenging where you are stressing it, and we did while we played it, but not to the point of you're getting one hit killed or just like, I have no idea how to defeat this foe.
Right.
Every time I go in there, it just immediately kills me.
I'd imagine it'll have difficulties.
Yeah.
Difficulty modes.
There's
Okay.
a mechanic of L1 to block and do it at the exact right time to parry, and then
Yeah.
you do a finisher animation if you attack after that, which feels a little like Sekiro, but the parry window is so much more generous.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was way easier to pull off and still felt very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like taking the things I liked about Dark Souls and getting rid of some of the
But-
frustration that I get from Dark
Interesting.
Souls.
Seeing
Theory,
how it's,
we'll see how the final game comes together, but
seeing how it's all woven together is very exciting.
Yeah.
The demo, I mean, you can watch it right now, is true Star Wars, right? Like it's everything you have, vehicles, big cinematic moments, slower little character building story moments,
good music.
great
Okay,
music.
I'm excited
Yeah.
about the music. How's the writing?
From what we saw, good.
Hang on, Leo, do you have a thought on this?
I have one thought. I liked it overall.
Okay.
It was never remotely like, oh, except for there was one time where some enemy grunts you hear over comms busted out a high ground joke.
Okay. Well, you know, what are
It's
you going
fine.
to do? It's fine. It's fine.
It's not a make or break.
Yeah, they got to do it.
But I don't want to give away the cameo. I think people can read that in our story. We even
Yeah.
have a separate story of a cameo that's in this. But
One that surprises you.
yeah,
From an animated show?
No.
yeah, and from a movie.
Okay.
But the conversation Cal has with this figure is well done. I
Okay.
like the commentary that was there.
Did they hint at any more fan service? Did they have a message of like, we're leaning away from fan service? Or did they say like, expect a lot of cameos in this thing?
This seems like there might be a lot of cameos. And if I was a writer of Star Wars, you just want to do that, right? Like you
fun.
want to like, hey, guess what? Before Luke left Tatooine, he fought Boba Fett once.
Would you want to do that, Reiner? If you were writing Star Wars, would you shoehorn all that stuff into?
I wouldn't want to, but it's just like it's
a
there, right?
temptation,
Like it's
yeah.
like, well, guess who showed up? Then it was Bosk.
Yoda used dual pistols for a while. It was cool. Just diving around.
Speaking of boss, real quick, going back to combat, did you see any boss fights? Did they talk about those?
There will be bosses and mini bosses.
Okay.
We fought we fought an ATST.
Yeah, but that's
Oh.
not even a mini boss or
Yeah,
a boss.
that was
That's
just-
Oh,
just
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you take it out?
Why don't you tell us, Leo? You're the one that did it.
The ATST?
Yeah.
Oh, push the missiles back. It also had some bombs it launched that you could push back.
Just shove everything back in the
Yeah.
holes?
Hit,
Yeah.
hit him in the ankles with your lightsaber.
Hit him in the ankles, dodge when he's stomping on you. They said it was too easy at that point. They were going to try to make it harder.
Oh, cool.
But it was probably just because I made it look so.
Right. You're really smart.
But it was
Good.
fun because we started demo. It was like the first thing we did was play it pretty much when we got there. And then through the course of the next few days, we'd have some downtime. And they'd be like, do you want us to just put on the demo again? I was like, yes, I would like that. And then by the end, I got so much better at it. And it was like playing the same kind of demo. By the end, I was doing it without dying.
Yeah.
And it felt really good to be managing enemies efficiently and know exactly how to use all the abilities.
Right.
the combat feels great.
It's very
And
cool.
it's
Yeah.
like you would expect from Respawn. What they do with first person, those games feel great.
Yeah.
Picture that kind of polish in third
Yeah.
person,
Like, you
Yeah.
can-
and
like-
just fluidity.
You can hold L1 to like block all incoming fire blasts, you know, but if you hit L1 at the right time, it just hits the blast back at them. So like there were scenarios where there were like two stormtroopers in like sniper towers, and Leo was like dealing with two stormtroopers on the ground, and like in the middle of trying to get the two guys on the ground, he would quickly block a laser blast and take out the guy in the tower and stuff like that. And it was just all very fluid and cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And made in Unreal.
Yeah.
Not Frostbite.
No.
Very odd.
Yeah, we talked to Vince about that, and he's like, studios can do what they want. That's
Yeah.
Right.
And in the early prototype phase, when there were only a few people working on it, it was easier for them to work in Unreal.
Yeah, and they weren't owned by EA at that point, so there's no reason
Right.
they would have started building it with Frostbite anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. What else stood out?
They talked about the Rogue One influence. This takes place before Rogue One, but it's
Yeah.
still very close to it in
Okay.
the grand timelines. They talked about the aesthetic and the technology in that movie, kind of informing where they were at.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
The demo, you see a lot of Rebels. So the AT-ATs, the design of the AT-AT is from the Rebels cartoon, the bigger version, which is more like Ralph McQuarrie-ish in its head, how that's designed with the
Okay.
bigger circles on it. You get to see the interior of an AT-AT fully,
Yeah, which was
including the
interesting.
speeder bike launch bay, which is in
Yeah,
there.
it
which
It
is
was
awesome.
interesting to talk to them about that because they're like, yeah, we get to design the inside of this AT-AT, and it was like a weird process of like trying to figure out how it works, and they even showed us like the gears rotating for the legs from the inside and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Surely in some other game at some point.
They talked about there being this old book of reference images
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
somebody drew early on, like in the 80s.
Like in the Empire Strikes
Yeah.
Back era, this book came out that had cutaways of everything, and that was like the
okay.
starting line for
I
them.
think
But yeah,
Right, they
Super Empire Strikes Back, you got to play through an AT-AT, but it was like
Wow.
18
That's
stories high. And
Yeah, look, no one knows what the hell that means back then.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Anything else we didn't cover that you guys are excited about?
Stig Asmussen stuck out to me as just a very capable man.
Just a tall drink of water, this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very impressed by him. Something he talked about was how, just at dinner, like Star Wars, making a Star Wars thing is more than making it look like Star Wars and sound like Star Wars. And he didn't say it at all, but to me, I interpreted that as like kind of throwing shade at Battlefront. almost. Of like, you can do an impression of Star Wars, but nobody's going to be fooled.
Right, we just have to say it feels like Star Wars. But what does that mean? I'm guessing everybody making a Star Wars game is like, this feels Star Wars as hell right now.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, they're leaning more into the joy of exploration of both established Star Wars planets and new ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the way they're gamifying that with the climbing and everything, one little tidbit, I don't know if it'll come out anywhere else. We saw him shimmying under a pole, under a thing, and then flipping up on top of it and running on top of it.
Oh, fun.
Just to
Okay.
speak to the depth of the climbing a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could swing on vines, climb on grass, on the walls.
There's a little pinch of Prince of Persia in there. So.
Oh, there we go. For you,
Basically, they
Kyle.
asked me if you wanted, what games would you want us to make
Yeah.
a game out of? Oh, Prince of Persia, Metroid, and the good parts of Dark Souls.
Now, I don't want to be this guy, but this all sounds too good to be true. And I've been saying that about this game
Like
for a
I
while.
said,
It is.
like we were, like I came out of Spider-Man, like, man, they might have done it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way here, and it
Yeah.
makes you reflect on all the Star Wars games that came before. We've had,
And that didn't come before Amy Henrik's game.
Yeah.
I mean, Knights of the Old Republic had a great story, but it didn't have the cinematic magic or combat necessarily, right? It was
Yeah.
just kind of turn-based.
Knights of
you
the
had-
Republic, amazing game. Not the best combat you could ever hope for in a Star Wars game.
Right.
You know, Force Unleashed just went bonkers with Jedi powers pulling down Star Destroyers out of orbit. Like,
Yeah.
it was fun, but it was just kind of, wow, this is maybe too much. This feels like they're hitting the right spots of what you'd want from Star Wars. And for you being a Padawan learner, it seems like there's a lot of growth in his abilities. You will get new Force powers as the game goes on, but it really kind of sets up maybe a trilogy of like, maybe he hits that Jedi Knighthood in the second game, and then maybe he's Master in the third. Like,
Right.
that would be a cool arc, because they called it very specifically Star Wars Jedi : Fallen Order. So it's like a new thing, Star Wars Jedi.
So it's going to be
Yeah.
Jedi. It's a kind of a Shadow Mordor situation where the sequel name's going to be tough, but it's going to be like Jedi Rising Order, or Jedi Fully
Yeah.
Built Order.
Order.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have that, like, Jedi for in the video game world might kind of have that Arkham definition, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, maybe,
Right.
optimistically,
It's
you
such
know,
a
who
generic
knows?
term, but I guess it works. Yeah.
The other
But-
thing is they're so gameplay first in both the combat and in the actual exploration you're doing and progressing Metroid style, as we've said 100 times.
Yeah.
But I think that really works for me as somebody who has very high standards for stories. You know, I was very hyped up for Spider-Man, and then it kind of fell short in the story. But I think this will be a similar situation where like the gameplay will carry it. Even if I have no reason to think I will, but even if I hate the story completely, the actual stuff you're doing from moment to moment seems like it'll be fun enough.
and it
great.
seems like it's going to be pretty big. The demo, which is 30, 40 minutes, is just a small slice of Kashyyyk itself. Like 10, 15%, something like that. I don't remember the exact number you gave, but that implies this game could be sizable.
Is there a part of you with like the Metroid element where you kind of wish it was all on one planet? Does
No.
it feel like it's going to be a little bit bizarre that it's split into so many different
I
planets?
was worried it was all going to be on Braca, the first planet they announced, that ship building or ship deconstruction planet the Empire is using. But no, Star Wars, part of what makes Star Wars tick is seeing new locations and
Yeah.
just being whisked off at, you know, hyperspeed to these different locations. And I can't wait to see where it goes. I think that's an
Yeah.
element that's going to be cool. It's like, okay, we're done here. Let's go to
Yeah.
who knows where.
I mean, that's how Metroid Prime 3 was structured. You moved planet to planet, and it was great.
I didn't play 3.
You should.
Yeah, I want to. Hey, Nintendo, you should announce an HD collection at E3 this year. That'd be great. Yeah. Let's see, month of coverage. What do we have rolling out?
Combat features.
Combat features. Well, that's 100 questions.
That's out
We
now.
got it.
You can watch that.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Stig.
That was
It's-
Leo doing it. I think it's probably the funniest.
I think it's the best one we've done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very happy. And I was with Stig, my best friend, so perfect.
You're so impressed with them. But yeah, we'll have features on BD1, features on combat specifically, features on the design of the world specifically.
Yeah.
Why they're using Unreal?
Why they're using Unreal. We're going to try to go into. We'll give as much as we know about the stories we can.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
The internet's asking,
yes, Ben
will you
Hansen.
reveal more gameplay?
That's a good. I don't know. I don't think we will.
So we, full disclosure, we saw some stuff that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
New planets and stuff like that. We're
He
going to
was
try
so-
it.
Yeah, they were like, clearly this is off the record, but we've got nothing else to do right now. I'm just going to boot up a different planet and walk around and not tell you what planet it is.
Huh.
It was very fun.
But unfortunately, yeah, I mean, not to get, raise hopes or anything. I don't think we'll have any new gameplay.
Right.
Although Reiner's
But-
giving me a weird look.
Well, we did sit in on a design meeting, which was
Oh, yeah.
very cool. And
that was cool.
we're going to try to find a way to talk about that. Again, we saw it on a known planet, which is very exciting.
Uh-huh.
But But we're going to try to talk about that in a way that's
just sitting
new,
in-
but at the same time, we can't reveal.
We were sitting in
stuff.
on just a legitimate workday meeting.
Flies on the
very
wall.
cool.
Which was very cool. I've never done anything like that. So.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
exciting. And it's at gameformer.com/
Star Wars Jedi.
Star Wars Jedi we went with. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, to each their own. Very exciting. Let's see. What else is going up? Coming up for E3, Leo?
We've got streams of just about every press conference you could hope for. The next one will be tomorrow, Sunday, at 3 p.m. Central for Microsoft.
Yeah.
And if you love all things Disney, I will have impressions of Avengers going up on Tuesday.
Oh, very exciting. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. A lot of every press
Yeah.
conference that they have. Basically, we'll be live streaming it with Game Informer folks, talking a little bit, not too much. And again, Game Informer Show podcast going up throughout the week on GameInformer.com, YouTube channel. Subscribe to the audio version wherever you want to listen to it, watch it, whatever.
And we're kind of giving E3 birth, and then we're hitting hard with Star Wars features after that.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't expect new features in the
not
hub
until the
throughout
weekend.
E3.
Yeah, so
Right.
there'll be like 4 or 5 stories out of the gate.
Plus the full cover story.
This is one of them. You're listening to it right now, and then the weekend we come back. So Saturday after E3.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Very exciting times. GameInformer.com/Star Wars Jedi. Got it. Sweet. Thanks so much for watching and listening to this episode. We'll have a new one tomorrow that'll also be live streamed if you want to watch it that way. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody.